guys, FilmCrazyAdam here, coming to you live from Laredo, Texas, where very shortly, well, I'm in a very unique situation right now where I am bobtailing, which means there is no trailer on the back of that truck. Which, that 99% of the time never happens with me in this company. There's always a trailer back there, whether it's loaded or empty. There's almost always a trailer back there. However, I have been given the unique opportunity where I'm a couple days early for my delivery here in Laredo, and my company has a yard down here that is just theirs. They don't share it. It's not a shared drop yard. It is solely the property of my company. So after checking in there last night and being out of hours on my computer, I decided I'd go today. But I was able to just drop the trailer there, which when I'm done here, I'm just going to go back and rehook up to that and drive into town. This never happens and probably will never happen again. So I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. I'm going to be going into that movie theater over there, and I'll let you know what I think of the new American Godzilla movie. What's my mindset going into this? Well, I've been a fan of Godzilla forever. You know, since I was a kid. My dad introduced him to me when I was like 2 or 3. And, you know, as a kid, you love that sort of stuff. Well, I did. It's hard to really, like, come at Godzilla and, like, how do you feel about Godzilla? It's like, well, which Godzilla? Because before 1985, he was this kind of goofy hero. Other than in Godzilla King of the Monsters, where he, you know, destroyed Tokyo, where we were introduced to him, he then kind of became this hero where other monsters would show up and he would, you know, not so much fight for, I mean, he would end up fighting for Earth because it was more like, this is my place, get the hell out. And so he would just kick people's asses. After 1985, they kind of redefined him and he became basically this monster. I mean, he would still beat up other monsters, and so initially be saving us from them, but then he would go and destroy Tokyo anyway, like, so, I don't know, a hero, anti-hero. Let's not talk about the 1998 Matthew Broderick, Jean Reno, Roland Emmerich movie, because that movie wasn't a Godzilla movie. That was a C to D class Saturday afternoon monster movie that they just slapped the name Godzilla on it because they know it would sell. They know it would draw fans. We will make money off of this if we call it Godzilla. I can go off on a tangent about that altogether. Movies that are titled things that they're not. But I'm not getting off on that. I'm not getting off on that tangent. I'm about to go see this movie. My mindset going into it is, it's open. I've heard good reviews so far about this, and obviously I want to see it because I made the effort to, you know, organize it so that I can actually get down here with the bobtail. You know, that doesn't happen. So, I'm hoping for it to be good. I want it to be good. I've heard good things. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm hoping it'll be good. I'm not expecting one way or the other. It's got Bryan Cranston in it. He's a good actor. So, you know, I guess they're trying to be more serious, more dramatic in this one. They're not going for goofy. At least that's my feeling of what I seen on the trailer. Speaking of the trailer, and this is actually, I'll let you know after I'm done seeing it, but anyone familiar with the Godzilla monsters, you know of Rodan, who is this giant mutated pterodactyl, basically. And Godzilla has fought him and teamed up with him in the prior monster movies. I don't know if it's him, but there's something in one of the trailers that's just flying by really fast at supersonic speeds, and Ken Watanabe's like, let them fight. So, evidently, there is another monster in this movie, and that's and like Godzilla, it seems, is gonna fight him. And if it's Rodan, well, like I said, I gotta see it. I'll let you know what I think. But initial thoughts, that's a great move. That's a smart move. This might actually be really good. So, I'm going to go see this movie. Talk to you guys in a bit. Hey guys, I'm back. Saw the movie. 2 things real quick. First is, if you hear a thrumming behind me, that's the reefer unit. I'm back in the yard. I backed back up to the trailer, And that thing is set at like -10. It's like 90 degrees outside, so it's almost constantly on. Like right now it's not, but so it'll kick on in a little bit. I'm hauling meat right now. I think it's chicken, so it's got to keep it below freezing. The other thing is, I'm in the yard right now, so if you see the brightness go up or down, it's just because there's a trailer passing in front of me, and so the light from the sun, which is behind me setting, is bouncing off that, coming in here, and just making it a little bit brighter, so nothing I can do about those two things. The update now is, you know, one of the best things a company can do to not endear their employees to them is when an employee requests for time off for a 3-day weekend, let's hypothetically say Memorial Day weekend. And let's hypothetically say that this employee is on the road for this company all the time, always on the clock, at their beck and call 24/7, and hypothetically hasn't been home for over a month. And then for the company to say, no, we're not gonna give you that time off request. Those 3 days, you want 3 days off from Memorial Day weekend? No, you can't have that. In fact, the earliest you can have time off will be mid-June. Yeah, so, hypothetically, that happened. And, yeah. So I don't know when I'm going to get the X-Men Days of Future Past review up, just because I don't know when I'll get to see it. This Godzilla one was kind of a freak, accident that this was able to happen, that I was able to do this. So, other than this review, I'm not sure when I'll get X-Men up. I currently only have one episode of Life with Ponies on my computer, and so that'll be up in the next month, and I can't film more of that until I get home. I do, however, have an idea for... It's another pony project that I thought of back in February or March, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Now is actually probably the best time to do it. I have a month ahead of me. I have all things I need on my computer. It's still a pony project, specifically involving Twilight, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it. So you can look forward to that. I also have the next episode of I Heard That Movie Sucks. In fact, it should be up the day after that this review is up. I also have the next movie for I Heard That Movie Sucks with me, so I'll probably start writing that script. That way I can just get the review out really quick once I get home next month. So that's my update, is that I'm stuck out here for another month, but that's why there's things in the works for Beyond. I'm sorry if that's a little bit cryptic. I'll explain more later when the time comes. Let's put it like that, if I haven't already done that. Anyway, the Godzilla review. Saw the movie, and I liked it. Didn't love it, liked it. So if you want my straightforward review, if you want my straightforward opinion, I liked it. I would recommend it. Go check it out. It's a good monster movie. And better than that, it's a good Godzilla movie. What do I mean by that? Well, for those of you who have seen the classic Godzilla movies, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Mothra, the Sea Monster, King Kong. If you've seen a classic Godzilla movie, that's what this was. It wasn't goofy like the older ones are, but this was a classic Godzilla movie. They finally did a Godzilla movie right. Not like that Matthew Broderick crap where that was just a monster movie that they called Godzilla but had nothing to do with it. God, that could not be less Godzilla. It was a... Not talking about that. I can rant about that. I heard that movie sucks all over, all day about that movie. But so Godzilla 2014. It was a good monster movie. It was a great Godzilla movie. And if that's That's it. That's all I need to tell you. Like, for those of you who have seen the classic movies, that's all I need to tell you. This was a classic Godzilla movie done in present day in America with great graphics, good story, good acting. Let me backpedal on that one. Okay acting, not terrible. It told a good story. It had plot points. It presented you with questions, which you kind of wondered about it, and then the movie, allowed you to connect those dots, and you figured it out. And it answered those questions. My biggest complaint about all movies I go into, or all bad movies I go into, and basically what lands on the docket for I heard that movie sucks is, it's a bad thing when you come out of a movie with more questions than you have going into that movie. I had questions going into the movie. The movie then gave me more questions, and then, in a timely, very good, a good storytelling way, answered those questions. It was good. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't mind-blowing. It wasn't super stellar. It was good, though. Go see it. I recommend it. Probably not going to pick it up. Now, what do I mean? For those of you who haven't seen a classic Godzilla movie, what do I mean this was a classic Godzilla movie? Well, the story, the general story behind a Godzilla movie goes like this. First and foremost, you should realize and understand that Godzilla is never the main focus of a Godzilla movie. Right now, I know that a bunch of you are like, what? Wait, what did you just say? How is the title character not the main focus of his movie? Well, I can roll off literally dozens, if not 100 movies where the main character isn't the title character isn't the focus, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about Godzilla. Going back to here are the nuts and bolts of a classic Godzilla movie. It always starts out with people. People discover something. Either they discover another monster or some kind of radiation, and they go to investigate it. Which, then they discover the monster, and then they always discover a monster of some sort. Either it's a space monster, or it's something that's been living inside like a cavern or a mountain or under the sea, but they find it, and either just by being there, or by nuclear testing, the monster always wakes up. Always wakes up, and begins to start destroying things. And they always send in the military to try and, kill it. Well, we can't have you destroying civilization, so we gotta kill you. I get that. I roll with that. I'm behind them on that. And then they realize they can't kill it. So, at that point, they either go looking for Godzilla, or Godzilla just shows up, and then Godzilla fights these monsters, and the fights are usually pretty good, and they almost always end up destroying a city. Godzilla always wins, either by killing it or kicking its butt back to space. Godzilla shows up, and he's all out of bubblegum, so there's only one other thing left to do. And that's how the movie ends. Like, Godzilla shows up, kicks its ass, he just goes back into the ocean, goes back to sleep. That's a basic Godzilla movie. Plain and simple. They did it with this movie. They did it very well. And they did it in a different enough way. They added a new chapter. They did it with a different monster. They put a little bit of a new spin on it. But they didn't bastardize it. They did everything right with this movie. They finally made a remake or a relaunch of something and didn't F it up. They didn't bastardize it and make it so different from the original source material that you're like, wait, how is this that? I don't get it. This movie made me feel good. Like, right here, I felt like a kid again. This was such a throwback, but without the goofiness of the more classic Godzilla movies. Like I said, he was goofy in the beginning, and towards 1985, he suddenly became this big, rough, tough, UFC fighter. He was a bit bulkier, a lot more muscly. And so it was kind of like that Godzilla, but doing what Godzilla does. Now, I think as a reviewer, like I said, I gotta raise the good and the bad, and kind of correlate or draw comparisons. But anyway, I've said right now it's a good movie. I liked it. I recommend it. If you liked the classic Godzilla, you'll like this movie. This was a great relaunch, a great remake. Fantastic in terms of what it is. And what it is. It's a Godzilla movie. What was bad about it? Well, I felt that all the characters were very wooden. Like, there was some pretty good acting by Bryan Cranston. Everyone else was pretty wooden, like one-dimensional. A lot of one-dimensional characters. They were universally one note through the entire movie. So they all kind of blended. In many ways, I couldn't tell you a single thing about any one of those characters. What did they like? What did they dislike? There was nothing unique about these characters. They all had a single job to do, and they did it very well. I'll give them that. There was no... In a lot of disaster movies or in a lot of horror movies, you have like one really huge, asinine, stupid thing that you see it coming from a mile away, and you're like, that was just stupid, and that usually entails bad things happening. Thank God that didn't happen in this movie. This movie was actually... They didn't F up. There was no catastrophic boning. No one boned it at all in this movie. So I was relieved and happy about that, and actually a little bit surprised that no one boned it. Everyone was thinking clearly through this whole movie. Yeah, that's amazing. That never happens in movies. What else wasn't so good about this movie? Okay. Remember how I said the title character of a Godzilla movie, generally, it's not focused on him? Same thing in the Japanese version, same thing with this, where it's about the people. It's about the people and how they survive and react to the disaster. In all Godzilla movies, and in this one. And so, again, they did it very well, which is, shit goes down. These monsters show up. And they are destroying entire cities. They lay waste to Vegas. They lay waste to San Francisco. They lay waste to Honolulu. I mean, these cities are just 50% wiped off the map, if not entirely wiped off the map. So you got your good city destruction. That happens in a Godzilla movie. Again, something they did right. But, darn it, where was I going with that? Shoot. Oh, right. Godzilla? So the movie is more about the people and how they're reacting to this situation. How they're reacting to these monsters. What they're doing to try and stop these monsters. What they're doing to try and save themselves and each other. So it's less about what's Godzilla doing today and more about how are these people surviving. It's more about the human story and the human spirit. That's, again, a classic Godzilla movie. I gotta stop saying that. Assume that everything is classic Godzilla at this point. So we focus almost entirely on... No, we focus entirely on the people. Specifically Bryan Cranston and then his son. And his son is in the military, so... And of course the military is always one of the first people that goes in after Godzilla. So he's always... It made sense in the story that why are we always with the military? Because we're with this guy who's always in places where he needs to be. It made sense. It was great in that regard. So it's always from the perspective of the people. We're following them, we're with them, we understand them, we're learning what they're learning. And alright, let me loop back to Godzilla. This movie was 2 hours, 3 minutes. I think Godzilla was on screen for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe. I mean, he wasn't even second fiddle. He was like fourth fiddle in his own movie. We know who he is, we see him, he shows up, we follow him. Like, they don't do that thing with the monster where we don't try and show the monster. They show him. Or they show him at appropriate times and then hide him at certain times. Like, they did a real good job with the computer work in terms of hiding him with like clouds, making it very dramatic, and hiding him in the water. So they showed you what they wanted you to see instead of just a bright flash off camera. But if you went into this movie expecting to see Godzilla, in center stage, and the movie's all about him, you're gonna be disappointed. Godzilla is a plot device. He shows up, he roars a couple times, he uses his thermonuclear death breath, which was awesome. Love that. When his tail started to light up, I knew what was coming. I knew it. I was like, yes! That was one of those fist pump moments, like, yes! They did it right! And the final kill of the movie, when Godzilla, I'm not going to spoil it. Watch the movie. The kill is awesome. The way he just ends that other creature's, just, go watch the movie. I'm getting all excited again just by thinking about it. But, maybe I will go pick up the DVD. I don't know, maybe. But, sorry about that. Anyway, Godzilla is not the main character in this movie. He's only on screen for about 10 minutes. I was disappointed with the actual battle at the end, because we're cutting away from it constantly to the military, who's got this plan in the works, and so we keep cutting back to them, which was okay. I got, in terms of the story, in terms of the movie, it was alright. It was good. But I kept expecting the epic battle between Godzilla and, there's actually 2 monsters in this movie. And we get snippets of that battle, but we never focus on the battle. We never get that really satisfying, 5-minute melee brawl in a city between 2 monsters. It's happening during the last 15 minutes of the movie, 15-20 minutes of the movie. It's happening in the background, but that's what it is. It's in the background. We cut back, we cut a little bit here, then it's all back to the military. So, in terms of a good movie and a good story, it was there. It wasn't mind-blowing for me, but again, I watched Godzilla growing up. I've watched this movie 20 times already with 20 different monsters. It was a good Godzilla movie. It was a quintessential Godzilla movie. They did everything right. I'm a little jaded because I've already seen it so many times. So, if you've never watched Godzilla, I think you'll like this. I think it's gonna do really well. I think a lot of people are gonna like this movie. They did everything right. And the characters are likable. They're not, like I said, they're not really three-dimensional, but they're likable, and you understand them, and you follow along. You're not confused. Maybe they could have used more Godzilla screen time. Even the way they ended it, I liked it. That was a classic end to the Godzilla movie. Where he beats the monsters and he goes back, he's like, alright, going back to bed. And he just goes back into the ocean. There's nothing more I can say about this movie that I haven't already said without kind of doing an I Heard That Movie Sucks review. It was a good movie. I liked it. To me, it wasn't fantastic. It was good. It was very nostalgic, actually. So, at this point, I'm just saying the same things over again. Go check out this movie. I liked it. Other than that, I have the other pony project I'm working on. I have the next I Heard That Movie Sucks coming out. And, I got more stuff in the works. The sooner I get home, the sooner I'll be able to get it done. I'll be home next month. Mid to late next month. So, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for supporting me. Check out Godzilla. Laters.